But there's more to it than that. And the more to it element is what I mentioned when we started this section, which is central sensitization. And so central refers to the central nervous system. Sensitization just means it's sensitized, right? But the question is, why is it sensitized? Well, one reason is because of the pain. So pain will sensitize these nerves. That's essentially facilitation. But there's a bunch of contributing factors to what sensitizes the nervous system. And, some of the most potent factors that sensitize the nervous system are your beliefs and your emotions associated with a given situation. So if you believe you'll never, use your shoulder again, maybe that person is a cricketer or a tennis player, or, the shoulder's important to them. It's got a meaningful, of course, everyone's shoulders are important, but maybe some people say, oh, well, I don't really, I can get by with a dodgy shoulder. It's all right. But if you're a tennis player, it's going to really impact on your quality of life. It's going to really upset you. So therefore it has more emotion attached. And if it's got more emotion attached, it's going to be more frustrating. There's going to be more anxiety about not being able to play in the future. There's going to be more depression about not being able to play now. And all of these things sensitize the nervous system. And not only that, they don't just sensitize the nervous system, but they actually inhibit your endogenous opiates. So just to sort of translate that for people who aren't familiar with the language, endogenous means it's produced in the body. Opiates, probably the most famous opiate we know is heroin, right? But there's lots of opiates that are used in medicine to reduce pain, and we get opiates when we exercise, the runner's high, that kind of thing. So opiates are very kind of I'm trying to think of there's a term for them, but essentially they're pain killing, right? And so we can produce all the opiates that we need under normal circumstances. But when we start to get anxiety or panic or fear avoidance behavior, catastrophizing around a certain situation, then what happens is those emotions actually start to block our endogenous production of opiates. So we stop blocking the painkillers, the natural painkillers that we would normally produce. So then the pain persists. So that's one element. But also those emotions charge up and excite the nervous system, so it's more facilitated. It's easier to feel pain. But then we've got so I would call those top-down or descending effects from the head down. But you've also got kind of parallel effects. So things that are occurring that maybe hormonal, for example, they may be biochemical. So they're things that essentially, if you're eating a diet that's pro-inflammatory, well, that's going to make you more prone to sensitization than if you are eating a diet that's anti-inflammatory or whole foods, natural foods that work well with your physiology.
So just for the audience, some examples might be things like, white bread, white sugar, alcohol, or most foods that you can buy in the supermarket in a tin or a box.
Yeah. Fried foods, especially if they're fried in, vegetable oil. So vegetable oil is another one which are rife through our society and our food chain. And they oxidize almost instantly on contact with air, but also they then oxidize further and become kind of like free radicals when they're cooked. So they actually create inflammation and cellular damage. Sugar as well. I think I'm not sure if you use sugar. Sugar is one as well that can cause that kind of stress. So those are some of the biochemical things, but also tied in with biochemistry is the hormonal element. So, if you're already stressed out before you got injured, then you're in a worse place than someone who was chilled before they got injured. But now you got injured, you're likely to be a bit stressed about this as well. Okay. If it doesn't impact on you too much, you feel in control of it. You feel like you got a good therapist who can help, you steer you through the process of rehabilitation, then that's going to result in a much more relaxed hormonal profile. Whereas if you feel you're on your own, or you're trying to get this advice but it doesn't seem to be working, or people aren't listening to you, or whatever it might be, then that is going to translate into much higher cortisol levels, and you're much more likely to have sensitization again, because again, it's just a pro-inflammatory state. So those are sort of some parallel examples. And then you've got ascending examples. So you've got things like you could have aches and pains elsewhere in the body, like an old knee injury or low back pain. If it's a shoulder injury,